I believe I made a joke in my Mars Red review that I was possibly a prophet, predicting that vampires were about to make a comeback, and looking at the fall season, I guess I was a prophet, as we got Irina, the vampire cosmonaut, and the vampire dies in no time, bringing our total up to 4, meaning we got a trend. But today we are covering the first season of the case study of Vanitas, which is getting a second season, but I didn't learn that until I had already settled on reviewing the series this week. But what is Vanitas about? Well, it's about the duo of Noe and Vanitas, a vampire and a doctor in the possession of a cursed grimoire known as the Book of Vanitas. But Vanitas, the doctor, is not the writer of this said book. The Vanitas that wrote this book was a vampire born under the blue moon instead of a crimson moon, and was thus shunned by vampire society. Because of this, Vanitas of the blue moon, not the doctor, cursed his fellow vampires with an affliction that will corrupt them. But Vanitas, the doctor, decided to use this book to do the inverse by curing cursed vampires by using the book's power. But Noe was looking for this said book, which leads to the two forming a partnership, exploring the origins of this curse, as well as the charlatan who is driving the cursed vampires insane, as well as a third party hoping to end Vanitas and take control of the grimoire for themselves, while being joined by a slew of wacky characters with a mix of vampires, humans, and half-vampires. Throw all this into 19th century France and hit play. The strengths are its characters, who get established backstories and have some fun interactions, as well as create intrigue with the politics occurring beyond the scenes. As with the initial through line delivered at the end of episode 1, that Noe will end up killing Vanitas in some way. Additionally, I think people will be very interested in the possible romance between those two leads, as the sucking of blood is very much coded as sex, and since Noe wants to suck his blood, it is rather obvious in meeting. As for issues, I'm not huge on how they treated John initially, sort of railroading her into a romance with Vanitas. Like, I get London is a city of love, but it seems a bit forward on Vanitas' part. But it sort of sorts itself out later, but this is very much the first season, and we'll have to wait to see where this series goes before I can give a final rating. The initial thoughts are that is fine. I see the series' second season being very popular with plenty of fans adding the series characters to their list of husbandos and waifus. Now switching over to the B side of this review, let's cover the Dungeon of Black Company, a comedy following Kenji Ninomiya, who succeeded at capitalism and can now finally live without having to work. But he gets isekai into a fantasy world, landing him back at the bottom of capitalism and needing to work the long hours for the evil corporation, forcing them to mine Demon Knight. But Kenji has been through this before and looking for a shortcut back to his life before the trip to Fantasyland. But one of his plans backfire, leading to him and the straight lizard man of their comedy duo becoming the dinner for a giant roaming monster. But one last second deal saves their lives, but he must now feed a dragon lolly who will eat him out of house and home, then will eat him if he fails to satisfy her hunger. But she can one-shot anything in the dungeon, meaning now he has some muscle for his cons. Eventually, we add an action girl and a gender non-conforming priestess to the team, as well as an in-game quest as he is tasked with saving the world from the evil corporation who will bleed the world dry of resources, thus leading to assorted misadventures as this group of idiots try to gain the dungeon's power before the evil corporation can. For the characters, you do get to see some progress. Kenji, while greedy, lazy, and self-serving, is not a bad guy, but he veils anything good he does with some shady stuff. See his interactions with Shia and his work with the dungeon shop for example of that, but you see him care more about his friends as the series goes on. As for the sidecast, you also have Rim starting to care for the party, as we see from her interactions with Ranga during a shopping trip, as well as her caring for Sky when they get to the 4th dungeon floor. As for humor, the series is mainly haha, capitalism, am I right? And I'm on the record of liking jokes of that nature, and when they're a secondary feature, and something like combatants will be dispatched. But I feel it kind of gets stale after a bit, be it either the show's slower pace of jokes, or me just not being in the right mood for the jokes. But I will say that Ranga ended up being better than I thought on first impression, as I was worried when they went with the whole boy forced into a female role, but Ranga enjoys being feminine, and the clothes that comes with it. And other than one episode, everyone's cool with it and respects the choice. So that's at least one edge over combatants and their femboy character. But if you like combatants, you should like the series, even though I feel it's a bit weaker than it. But at least gives a decent amount of closure, so even if it doesn't get a second season, it told a story, so another bonus. But the biggest determinant on whether you will like the series or not is whether you can stand characters like Kenji, as if his archetype rubs you the wrong way, I would recommend skipping this series.